Hi, thanks for stopping by to watch me, Leah, cook kosher. So to make the yeast dough, it's very simple. We're going to start off with a little bit of sugar and yeast and water. Set that aside for a little bit, and then to that we'll add margarine, salt, sugar, soy milk, eggs, and half the flour. Give that a good stir, and then we'll knead in the rest of the flour. If you want to make a dairy babka, go ahead and use real butter and real milk. Your dough will be that much richer, but if you need a parve dessert, it's fine, just with margarine and soy milk. You'll be able to make this quickly, and everyone at home is going to love it. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is pour our 1/4 cup of water into the bowl. Doesn't have to be hot, it can just be room temperature. And then our sugar, and our sugar is the thing that's going to get this yeast going. Okay, add that to the bowl. And then we're going to add our yeast. I like to use a rapid rise yeast. This is because that's what I'm used to. I like things to move along quickly. And I'm going to give that a little bit of a stir. It's just kind of pasty, and usually takes about 4 or 5 minutes before it starts to get a little bit foamy. Let me just stir that down a little bit. You can see a little bit of the bubbles forming. I haven't used really warm water, so the yeast is going to move a little slower. That's fine, because for babka, I don't want my dough to really puff and rise. I am going to try and keep my dough on the cooler side. Now our yeast is nice and foamy. Let's grab our butter or margarine, and we're going to add that to the bowl, and the rest of the sugar, salt, and then we have our 3 eggs that we've already checked. So we're going to add that to the bowl, and the last thing is going to be our milk or soy milk. We can add that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add about half the flour, give or take, doesn't matter. We just want to have a little bit to mix in with that butter. I've rediscovered the beauty of the hand mixer. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix this. So I'm just going to mix that margarine in. Add a little more flour. Okay, a little bit gooey. And then we're going to add the rest of that flour in by hand. We're just going to knead it right into the bowl, and then we'll turn it onto the tabletop. And stir it as much as we can. So at some point, we're just going to have to get our hands in there. See, the dough starts pulling away from the side of the bowl, and we know we're getting to the point where we're going to be able to knead that. Okay, you can see it's still a little bit sticky, but we're not trying to make a really, really, really stiff dough. We want it to be soft. So I'm going to just sprinkle about a good tablespoon more flour, and I'm going to start working that right in. All right, so that's pulling away. And what I'm going to do, move all my things out of the way, sprinkle a little bit of flour on the tabletop, and I'm just going to start kneading in. And I don't want the dough to get really, really stiff, so I'm going to be careful not to add too much flour, but I don't want it to be sticky. So we're just going to go ahead and knead. Now if you don't know how to knead, we do a 1/4 turn. So I've just pushed with my heels, spin it towards me, push it down in the center, lift up, back down, turn, and you just keep going, and that sort of brings up the inner dough, gets pushed out, so that's why you have to keep adding flour, just a little bit at a time though. And once you get going, Get that rocking motion going. And you want to keep kneading until you develop a very, very, very smooth dough. And this is a great time to think about everything else you have to do the rest of the day. But meanwhile, just get some of that rocking action in. Go a little faster and get a little aerobic exercise in too. What I'm doing, I'm kind of cleaning up my countertop of all the flour by just moving my kneading around. So the longer you knead, the better your dough. A good 5 minutes will make a nice dough. 10 minutes will make it even better. Because what we're looking for is when you stretch it, we don't want it to tear. Have my bowl and give it a little bit of a spray so it doesn't stick. And I'm going to take the top, push it down, and then we're going to flip it up. Cover it with our little tea towel and just set it aside while we get our fillings done. Well, let's see how our dough's doing. Ah, perfect. All right, let's just lift it out, slide our bowl away, and we're going to knead it down. So let's just kind of knead that a bit. And we're going to split this into two. And I'm going to do what's called round them up. And what I'm doing is I'm pushing from the top under as I roll, and that gets you a nice smooth ball. Same here. That's pretty close. And then we're going to just cover it and let it rest before we roll it out.